Today we're going to look at the new KAIWEETS KTI-W01 thermal imaging camera. This is a standalone one-piece solution. It does not require a smartphone like some of the other ones. I think it's got some great features on here. I'm going to show it off, unbox it, show it off, show you what it can do. And I think you'll agree that this one has a lot more features than any of the other cameras I've reviewed in the last couple of years. Let's check this one out. I received the package in the mail today. I wonder what I got. Let's open this together and see what goodies I got. It's from KAIWEETS, and it is something I've been kind of waiting for too. It's a thermal camera. Cool, self-contained thermal imaging camera. So now I won't have to use that other one that needs my cell phone when I want to troubleshoot something for a thermal breakdown. Let's take a look at what's in the box. What's in here? Probably some accessories. Ah yes, there's a USB-C cable and a power adapter for charging. It's nice that they actually give you a power adapter. Like so many others these days, they don't. Like you buy a new cell phone and you're expected to use the old adapter that you've had for 10 years. This is the model KTI-W01. Ooh, that looks cool. I guess the first thing we need to do, it's got a cap to cover up the lens because obviously you don't want the lens exposed to excessive light. Has a resolution of 256 by 192, which is going to bring it into the same category of quality as the other infrared or cameras that I've got. We're going to do a comparison. I'm going to charge this up. Before we go any further, let's take a look at the owner's manual. A little bit of reading here to do. I just have to laugh at some of the instructions. Considerations. Don't assemble or dismantle the product without permission. Permission from who? If it's my product, I should be able to do what I want. Don't put the product close to sunlight or strong light sources. Otherwise, it may damage the probe or the sensor. And it says when it works, there's a light, sound, or clicking every several seconds. That's normal. Yeah, it can take a battery, make the lithium battery. Do not place a battery on a charger exceeding 24 hours. No kidding. Prevent damage to the infrared lens. Clean the infrared lens carefully. It's got an anti-reflective coating on it, so don't, in other words, keep your fingers off it. Here's the specifications. So it's 256 by 192. Pixel size is 12 microns. And it measurement temperature ranges -20 Celsius to 550 Celsius, or -4 Fahrenheit to 1022 Fahrenheit. So that's a good temperature range. Here's something I found interesting. It has visible light resolution of 640 by 480. And it says photo display mode, infrared, visible light, or dual light fusion. So you can take a photo and superimpose the infrared signature over the photo. Interesting. And it has built-in 32 gig memory card built in. Records video and MP4 and JPEG photos. So the memory is built in. We're just going to plug it into the computer to download this. It has a 3500 milliamp hour battery, and it uses USB Type-C. So these are some of the things that we can do with this thing. Here we look at the display here. Got a display, Type-C port, protection cap. It's got a visible light camera as well as an infrared thermal sensor, photo capture, and home key, battery compartment. I don't think we need to study this too much. Of course, it's got the standard black and white, either white hot or black hot, or your false colors, which will show different colors depending on the temperature. And you've got your spectrum, iron, cool, white, or black. The unit, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. If I turn it on, I press the power button, and that'll turn the unit on. Open the lens cap. There's the visible camera, and the infrared camera is down here. So when it first is turned on, it's showing me temperatures right now. Like, for example, the what's that that's glowing back there? That must be my It must be my sign. Yeah, that's my sign. That's the power supply. Everything else is relatively cool in here because nothing's turned on other than the transformer is on. So if I were to click the button, there's a snapshot button here. We can take a picture. Save the photo. Yes. Now, how do I do video? Do I press and hold? What happens if I press and hold? Start recording. If I click it again, does it start recording? Or yeah, there we go. I just click the button and press and hold the button. It should say end recording. There we go. So now, if I just click this switch once, it'll do a photo, and then I just click it a second time to save the photo. And if I want to record, I click it down or hold it and start recording. Click it a second time. So now it's recording what is on my bench here. So if I move the camera around, you can see, well, if we're looking at my little sign there, you'll see the hot spot there is where the regulator is going to be on that sign. And I'll be showing you guys the photos from this. I'm going to take it, how about my power supply? Yeah, my power supply is warm. So I'm going to take this outside right now. I'm just going to walk around the house and we'll do some pictures of where I might be losing heat. Because I know my weather stripping is no bloody good. So we'll take some pictures with this and then we'll try this out and compare it with the other cameras that I have. I think that is kind of nice is this nice box it comes in. So I mean, yes, you can carry it around in your carry case if you're using it every day on the job, but if you're not needing it, you can put the whole case back in the box. It's got magnets on it to close it up, and you can store that up on your shelf. So you know what's in the box, you know where it is. Makes it easy to find. I like that. I like equipment that comes in a box that you can reuse for storing, because this is not something that you might be using every day. I guess if you were in the HVAC business, which is primarily what these tools are for, or even automotive work or electronics, but if you're in the HVAC business where you're using this every single day, and that's what they're showing here is like heat pumps, right? And for loss of heat, which I'm going to take some shots with it, then you might not need this, but if you're the casual user that's just going to store it and bring it out whenever you need it, it's nice to be able just to throw it back in the box and then you know where it is. We're going to go through some of the setup on here, change some of the modes. I'm going to take some pictures. I've kind of played around with it a bit so I know how it works. When you take a photo on here, you plug it in your computer obviously to download the photos. It just sets itself up as a regular SD card basically. Has two folders, photos and videos. And there's also some software that's included which you can install onto your Windows computer, and that will allow you to superimpose the actual image taken from, and it works only with stills, but the image taken from the visible light camera with the image taken from the thermal camera. You can superimpose, and I'll show you how that works. You can slide the slider back and forth and superimpose the image. So it lets you show, if you're looking for loss of heat, for example, you can show the actual house or the building. It works with stills. It doesn't do this with video. So video does not superimpose, but with stills it does. Let's go through some of the settings before I take it out and do some pictures. Let's go through some of the settings here on the display. So if we press the menu key, we have image correction. I haven't even looked at what that is yet. Here's where I can superimpose right there. I can do that right now. So I can see the regular camera, the visible camera on the screen here, and I can superimpose the other camera on top of it. Now it's just giving me the temperature reading. It's showing me the live picture, but it's showing me that the temperature reading is now superimposed over a standard video or standard photo. I don't know if it'll record video in this mode or not. Let's see what happens if I squeeze the trigger. Start recording. Yes. Okay, so now it should be recording what I'm looking at here and superimposing the temperature of different devices. If I turn on the soldering iron, for example, that should start to get hot, and we'll see it start to glow, or at least see the temperature rising. Yeah, we can see the red. If we look at the red number up here, I'm recording this, so we'll be looking at the shots that I'm doing here. But we can see that the tip, even though it's displaying an actual image, you can see the temperature of the tip is getting hotter. If I click this button, oh, over temperature. It's now telling me that that is over the temperature, and you can see if I change to the different modes, it's over the range that I've selected. I'll go into the menu and I'll set, it has two ranges, -4 to 248 Fahrenheit and then 248 to 1022 Fahrenheit. So I've just selected the high temperature range. We'll hit high, and now I'll be able to see the temperature display of the soldering iron. It says it's 570 degrees, but I know it's hotter than that. It should be closer to 700. But it's still registering higher. It's still going up. As we switch modes, it can actually you can overlay it here as well, so it should be able to record video with overlay. But as I select the right and left button, I can select, as you see, live, visible, and then overlay right through to full infrared. If I pick one of the settings in between, like say for this one, if I go into, so now I've got infrared as well as visible. As you can see, if you look on the screen, it's not lining up. If I go into menu and I go into image correction, now we can center the image. Okay, I'm going down or going up now, I guess you can see. Go the other direction and you'll see my hand will start to move closer to the other image, so we can superimpose them over top of each other. And then to the right. Oh, wrong way. Okay, so now the visual camera and the infrared camera are pretty much lined up. So that way, if you're superimposing an image, you can see what you're superimposing the image over. Now, if I press and hold the record key here, start recording, I'm now recording what's in front of me on the bench here. You can actually see the solder station, and you can see the temperature. And if I hit the left and right buttons, I should be able to cycle through. Yes, I can cycle through. So now I've got full image, and now I'm back to full infrared and whatever color palette I choose. So right now we'll change the color palette. I'll stop the recording and I'll go into menu and I go down to color palette, press the enter key. Right now it's in cool. If I go to say spectrum, enter, and then back out of that, we'll now get a completely different view. And again, I can select the overlay. As you can see now, I don't know how it's showing up on camera because the angle's off a bit, but there's video, there's the thermal, and we have overlays between the two of them. Now I can see that my overlay is not quite exact, so if I go into menu and I go into image correction, I can now overlay them exactly. Here we go. Oops, wrong way. So now I can center them. So now my picture is centered. And if I get out of this mode, if I just tap the button once, I'll take a picture. Or if I press and hold, I'm now going to record. And while I'm recording, I can now select different modes. So if I press the right arrow, I will now select full thermal, back to full visible, and then overlaying in between. Now if I want to change to a different color palette, that's easy to do. If I go back into menu, I go down to my color palette and I want to select iron, for example. This is the iron rainbow. And again, we can select full infrared. I'll start recording on this as well. Or we can select an overlay. So you get an idea. If you're in an overlay mode, you can see what's hot versus the other background image. Full infrared with nothing else showing, and then we can overlay 3 different levels, and then back to the full visible spectrum. I think that's kind of cool. The other cameras I've got, which I'm going to compare this to in a minute, don't have that capability. Yes, you can record stuff on your phone camera, but they don't line up with what's being shot from the infrared camera. So that gives this an advantage over the others. Some of the other modes that we've got that I'll go through here, we'll go back to full infrared. If I go to menu and I go down to the color palette again, select enter. Okay, we saw the cool one. This is white hot. So in white hot, you get just a black and white image, and whatever is hottest shows up white. So I'll record this. This is white hot. And again, I can select overlay as well. So you can see the actual overlaid image. If we're looking here at the soldering iron, when I start to overlay, you'll see it white. So that gives you an idea. There's the hot spot. And we can do the same for black. You can probably do this without ending the recording, but let's go down and select black hot for the color palette. And now it's the opposite. If I bring it up, now you see the black is the hottest area of the picture. White is the cold area of the picture. And again, I can superimpose over the image. I think the superimposing is probably more useful when you're in the false color modes, such as the, which one was it? Spectrum. I think this is probably the one that is going to be the one that's going to give you the best overlay, because you've got all the different colors that are in use. So you can see the image and then you can overlay it and get that a good representation. I'm going to do some shots on some equipment here. I'm just on the bench right now. I'm just showing you what's on the bench. But I'm going to grab the other camera. We're going to do a direct comparison looking at the same things. Okay, we'll compare this to the infrared. Now, there's nothing wrong with infrared. These are good units, but let's just compare apples to apples here. And I'm going to do some test shooting with one or two of these ones. They look the same, but this is what's required to operate this particular unit. If you want to film or take pictures, you got to put the unit together. You have to open up the camera, remove the camera, put the camera in the holder, and lock it down. Then you got to connect up the little cable that comes with it, and you got to connect that to your phone. So we connect the cable. Now I got to dig out my phone and get my phone set up, which means I now have to use my phone to record this, and then plug it in. And with any luck, my phone will automatically recognize the software and it will automatically turn on, which it is. Oh, wonderful. There we go. And there's what the phone shows. Not focused. I can adjust the focus on this one too. But the only advantage to this one is it's got a focusable lens. But I can change my color palette on here as well. Okay, so I've got rainbow, hot, cold, iron, rainbow. So I got the same type of settings on here that the other one had. And I can do the same thing on my phone, right? I can select white hot, or I can select black hot, or iron gray. I've got the same type of settings. And if I want to make a recording on my phone, I just have to tap the screen here either to make a video recording, I would tap that, and now it's going to record this on my phone. If I want to just take a snapshot, I can do that. But again, I have to get my phone out to do this. I'll show you the other one as well, and then we're gonna do a few comparisons here. The other infinite array I've got is the P2 Pro, which is another one that is quite a popular little camera. Again, it plugs into your phone, but it's a detached camera, so now you're using two hands to operate this one. And it'll load up its software, thermal imaging. I can turn that on, and again, you know, it's, which way does it face? It faces this way, I guess, yeah. So this one here is designed to plug into the bottom of your phone, but the problem is if your phone's in a case, it won't work because the USB connector, the USB-C connector, is not long enough. So that means if I want to use this one, I either have to use this cable, which now means I'm using two hands to operate it, which is kind of a pain in the butt, or I have to take my phone out of the case, which is not going to happen because all it takes is one drop and the phone's going to shatter. This phone's got a glass back like all the popular ones. This is an old phone. It's not a new phone, but still, they're all the same. You have your phone in a case, and you're going to have to take your phone out of the case in order to use it. But the only advantage to a system like this is if you want to get into a tight space where you can't get the unit itself, but still, you got to get the camera in there, and then you can move your camera in closer up. That's about the only advantage to it. Performance-wise, they are all exactly the same, and as you see, it just shows you the temperature. This one shows you the temperature. The older one that I showed you doesn't show the temperature on the screen. This is the P2 Pro, and this one has the thermal imaging temperature displayed on the screen, like the new KAIWEETS, but not nearly as convenient. Plus, you have to use your phone, and these are quite power hungry, so it'll suck down the battery life on your phone relatively quickly when you're using a configuration like this. From a servicing perspective, I'm going to use this. I'm going to turn it on to video mode and plug the unit in, and we'll watch for components that are going to heat up. These devices come in very handy as if you're looking for a component that's getting hot, for example. So right now this is dead cold. I'm going to hit record and start the video recording, and I'm going to plug it in, and we're going to watch and see what heats up, and I'll show you guys the video right off of the unit itself. So I'm applying power, well, not quite, but we're applying power right now. Okay, we can start to see components are starting to heat up. How about over here on this side? This DVD player has a problem, so I'll turn it on and see whether it does anything. Okay, we can see the main chip is starting to heat up. I should probably take this film off there so I can see the screen better. So we can see the chips are heating up now. This unit itself is dead. It will not open or close the drawer. If I try opening and closing it, what happens? Anything else getting hot? That main chip is getting quite warm. 100 and, what is it? Oh, 58 Fahrenheit. Where it's pointed here. What about here? What is it at now? But we can see where the heat is. That chip is getting warm. If we go over to the power supply, you can see all the components in the power supply that are also heating up quite nicely. And if I go and superimpose, we can take a look at what parts are hot. Where's the heat? So if you're looking for something, well, there's the part that's hot right there. Or thereabouts. I haven't calibrated it. When you calibrate it, it's based on the distance, obviously, you see, because you're in closer up, there's an offset between the lens. But right there you can see a nice overlay. Now if I stop the recording and I want to take a photo, if I just tap the button once, it will ask me if I want to take a photo of it. I'll save it as a JPEG. Now if I want to change the view, go to the menu, go to the color palette, and I can change to, say, white. So now we'll see the hot component in white versus the rest of the board. There's another setting in here, and it's for the emissivity of the item you're looking at, whether it's a matte or a semi-matte. This changes the calibration, or glossy, or you can customize. So if I select glossy, it will change the way that the thermal imaging camera responds. I take the in and outside now, just do a walk around in my house and just see how much heat I'm losing, because it's a cool day out today. Let's see how much heat I'm losing, where I need to focus on improving my insulation. My house actually is quite well insulated, but there are some windows that are probably showing their age because they're getting pretty old. So this is a shot out back. You can see the windows. And of course the heat loss is going to be highest around the windows. There's a neighbor's house. As you can see, my insulation is actually not bad. The hotspot you see there in red, that's actually my office window. My office is quite warm. I've got the window open just to cool it down a bit because I got computers and stuff running. So that's why that's so hot. Just because I got the window open a bit to try to cool it down a bit, because I got all the computers and stuff running. Here's a shot of the heat pump. Now it's showing cold because it's in heating mode, so it's actually colder than the outside air. That's why it's showing blue. These windows here are, well, you can see the little bit of heat loss around the edge of the window there. I think the seal is starting to go bad on that window. You can see it. And as I walk around the back, the back window is going to show real hot, and it's actually not. This is because these are high E windows. They're reflecting the outside heat. You'll actually see my reflection, my heat signature, reflecting off the glass as I approached the door. Those are what they call low E windows, the high efficiency. Good old hot tub out back. Superimpose the visible spectrum. And here's one for you. That cover is all waterlogged, as they say. You would think it'd be losing a lot of heat through it, but it's not. It's not passing a lot of heat. Even though that cover is heavy as hell, it needs to be replaced. All the heat loss is coming out from where the pump is. This would be the cool settings. I believe this one was cool. And we're going to switch back and forth between visible and superimposing. The next shot that's going to come up, I'm going to select with hot white, or white hot as they call it. So there's white hot. Note that even when you're superimposing, the temperatures that are detected from the infrared sensor are overlaid on the color image. Here's a shot of my front door. As I open it slightly, you can see the heat coming out from inside the house. And trying to show off, trying to get my weather stripping to leak a little more there. I know it's just about a shot, but I guess it's still not too bad. I get a shot from the inside of the house, and you'll see that it's colder. Here's a shot across the street. You can see the transformer up on the pole across the street. It's red hot compared to the trees, which are warmer than the sky, which is cold. Again, superimposing the visible spectrum over top. That transformer looks to be 40 odd degrees, which is still a lot hotter than, I guess, outside air. 36 or 35 Fahrenheit is where the trees are. So it's giving you an idea of the ambient temperature. See if I can get a shot of the power cord here for the car that's charging, which will be hotter than the outside temperature for sure, and you can see it. This time I've selected iron for the coloring. So it's a more limited palette, not quite as wild of colors as the other. Again, if I go into infrared mode, we should see this cord there showing whiter or different color from the background because the cable is slightly warmer as there is power flowing through it. Another look, I think this was still iron color palette that I was in. Again, you see that the temperatures listed on the screen when I hold my hand up in front. It's showing my skin at 76 degrees. Well, I guess it'll be a bit colder because I'm outside, and it's only about 5 degrees Celsius today. I've got this set up in Fahrenheit mode, but it'll display Fahrenheit or Celsius. That's a shot of my security camera. As you can see, it's the electronics are quite warm. It's a nice toasty 40, 46, 47 degrees, 51 degrees Fahrenheit. Once again in visible spectrum and then overlaying the infrared. And to give you an idea of sensitivity, it even will detect my footprints on the floor after I've left it. Just the latent heat from standing on the floor for a few seconds. And this stuff was done a minute or so before, and I can still detect the heat signature. It's pretty wild. Its sensitivity is very good. Of course, this is what these are designed for, detecting where you're losing heat. So there's the cold air coming in through the door from the outside. I've got it in visible spectrum mode now, but as I go back into infrared, you can see the door, the bottom of the door there is quite a bit colder because that's where the weather stripping is bad. Once again, I select the spectrum mode, which just gives you more colors to choose from for the temperature. Gives you a little more dramatic appearance. Anyway, I think that's about all I can show you on this one. I'm going to put the link in the description. I think this is a great little unit. It's certainly a lot more convenient to use than those two-piece solutions that need a smartphone. Here's a shot of my alarm controller going from visible spectrum to infrared. You can see where the chips are and where it's hot. And finally, this is my communication closet where all my equipment lives. So modem is there with some modulators and a hard drive and so forth, and my ONT for my fiber. And I'll go back into infrared mode and you can see where it's hot. It's hot inside there. I got one last shot to show you guys before I end this one. This is disregarding the warnings and filming the burner on my stove so you can see the heat column and the smoke going up there. And this is, I think, in the low sensitivity mode. That's why it's saying over. I'm going to do it again, this time in the high mode. So you can see the temperature there is like 500 degrees. But you can see the heat coming off the gas. Even though it only ran for a few seconds, that burner is still hot as fire anyway. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.